Hello, this is question 7 on your mix exercise 7 from your applied textbook from year 1. So explain what is it's meant by hypothesis test. So it's probably with your own words, just explaining that we are testing if a parameter of the population has a particular value or not. So we use a sample hypothesis test uses test uses a sample to decide if a parameter of a population in these GR questions is going to be the probability of a binomial distribution of the population has a particular value. And that's precisely what we call a hypothesis. Yeah? So we are checking a hypothesis. The second says critical value. So critical value is the first one that falls in the critical region. Critical value is the first one in the critical region. The first value in the critical region. And the critical region, I'm just going to write like this to not take ages. An acceptance region is the opposite to critical region, so it's where we accept H0, is where we accept H0. So the critical region is region of rejection. If our value falls in the critical region, we reject, but if our value falls in the region of acceptance region, we accept H0. That's less common. Usually you can see this much in the questions. Johan believes the probability of him being late to school is 0.2. To test his claim, he counts the number of times he's late on a random sample of 20 days. So this is our N. Find the critical region for a two-tailed test, 10% significant level, and whether the probability of he is late for school differs from 0.2. So our hypothesis, they don't ask us to write them, but I will always write them. So probability is 0.2. H1 is going to be different. We are checking if the probability is different on that. If this is true, X is going to be a binomial, X meaning the number of times that he arrives late to school, 20 because he checks 20 days, 0.2. No? Yeah. And then we have to find the critical region. The critical region this is a two-tailed test because I have different instead of greater or smaller, which means the critical value, the level of significance is going to be split in half for each critical region. So we are having two critical regions. So probability of X being smaller than a value must be smaller than half the significant level. 0, what was the significant level? 0.05, and then probability of X being greater or equal than a B must be smaller than 0.05. This one, the first one, we can find it straight away because we have smaller or equal on the tables, and this is in the table, so N20 0.2. And if we go to the statistical tables in the formula booklet, N20 probability 0.2 is this column here. So we look for the first one that is smaller than 0.05, which is 0.05. The first one smaller is this one really, yeah? So X must be 0. That means that my critical region, one part of it is going to be X. Instead of X smaller or equal, 0 has to be 0 because it cannot be smaller than 0. Yeah, in any other case would be smaller or equal than 1, smaller or equal than 2, but when it's 0, I'm going to write just equal. And then for this part of the critical region, I don't have this in the calculator or the table, so I have to rewrite my question. I'm going to write 1 minus probability of X being smaller or equal than 1 less. And this must be smaller than 0.05. If we reorganize this, we have 1 minus 0.05 is 0.95, smaller than probability of x smaller or equal than b minus 1. Which means I'm looking for the first value such as the probability is greater than 0.95. So if we go to the tables, first value greater than 0.95 is this one, which is 7. That means this value is 7, and therefore b is going to be 8, yeah, because this is b minus 1. So my critical region, so this is like the second part of the critical region, is x greater or equal than 8. So my critical region is going to be x equals 0 or x greater or equal than 8. Yeah? The C, state the actual significant level of the test. That's the probability of falling in the critical region. So it's going to be the probability of x being 0 plus the probability of x being greater or equal than 8. You can use the calculator or you can use the table because we have the probabilities, yeah, and it's quite quick. So the probability of being 0 is 0.0115. Either way, yeah, it's just, I think once we have the table with the value identified, is easier. 0.0115, and the other one is going to be 1 minus the probability of x smaller or equal than 7. Yeah, we have to adjust that a bit. So 0.0115 plus 1 minus this probability, 0.9679. And this is 0.0436. Usually we give the significant level in percentage. So yeah, the significant level is going to be, the actual significant level is 4.36. And now for the last part it says, Johan discovers he's late for school in 7 out of the 20 days. Comment of whether Johan should accept or reject his claim. 7 doesn't fall in the critical region. Yeah, it's not greater than 8 or smaller than 0. So 7 is not in the critical region. It's not in critical region. Therefore, there is not enough evidence to reject. Enough evidence to reject, no, or to support his claim. Enough evidence to support his claim. Because he thinks the probability is 0.2. No, then it's not his belief. I would say just that there is not enough evidence that the probability is different. Yeah, there is not enough evidence to support that the probability is different than 0.2. That the probability is different than 0.2. Yeah, because he really thinks he is late 0.2 or 20% of the times. Yeah, and that's all with this question.